record on the cloud or...
Welcome to the Digitized Transport and Digitized Environment mutual sessions. Today, we will do the round table regarding the two verticals that are financed by SMART4ALL project. From the side of Digitized Transport roundtable, you will have me. I'm Nikolina Brajović. I'm coming from Invar-Ivošević company, and I have 12 years of experience in maritime transport. My colleague Anita from Infora research group, and my colleague Boris Petkovic from Inova. From the side of digitized environment, we will have Mr. Dejan Lekić from xEco, and we will have Nikola, Nikačević from EIEO and DOO, and right now they will present themselves.
I just think
Anita, you can say a few words about yourself.
Hi, I'm Anita. I'm CEO of Infora Research Group, and this is a rather small company specialized in digitalization of logistic problems. We're working in several different industries and basically finding the optimized solutions for transportation problems. And so far we have success stories with the sugar beet companies in Serbia. They are using our software for more than 5 years right now. And we are doing with NIS, like a fuel company from Serbia, oil companies, thank you. And also working with them from 2018, and like a third large client of ours is NELT, which is one of the largest distribution in the region. And so we have digitalized their processes and optimized their delivery paths on whatever they used in their daily business. So that's it. Thank you.
My name is Dejan Lekić. I'm here on behalf of the portal or initiative xEco, which means extreme ecology. The portal currently publishes 3 applications. The applications are about the data available on the open data portal of Serbian government, and 3 of them exist at the moment. The first one is xEco Air, obviously dealing with air quality data in real time. The second one is xEco Pollen, presenting the data from the measuring system of the national state network for energy pollen. And the third one is xEco Chimney in English, which is the application dealing with the data on air quality emissions. On the other hand, I'm a civil servant for almost 30 years, and I have a lot of experience in developing state environmental information systems, but that will be something for the discussion later. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nikola Nikačević, and I'm Executive Director of EEN Plus. So there is a typo in the program.
Plus DO.
DO is LLC, so that is the limited liability company, but that doesn't matter. The most important thing is that we are developing Envigo, which is a digital platform for environmental and social impact assessment. So this is our main product, and it's a rather complex system and comprehensive one to be used by different stakeholders, from project proponents that are proposing a certain project, then consultants, experts who actually do these assessments, coming mostly from private sector, up to authorities that evaluate the submitted studies, and finally the public who is supposed to participate. And so we are trying to help them all and to engage them as much as possible and to make the process more efficient, transparent, then also more objective. So it's an expert or knowledge management platform generally and collaborative platform. So that's in short what we do.
Okay. Our colleague that is online is Mr. Boris Petkovic. Boris, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you for coming. Thank you for participating in this meeting. Let me introduce myself. My name is Boris Petkovic. I came from Inova Tech company. I'm the CEO of this company, and our company is specialized in creating the software and also in the hardware. Our field of doing is mostly in the automotive industry and also in the parking industry. We have a lot of experience in the field of connecting cars to the cloud. So this is our main topic today. And also we have some patent registered in our local office of navigation of self-driving cars using infrastructure. So this is topics which I would like to speak today with all of you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Now, when we introduced ourselves, we would like to know something about you. From the online, we have Mr. Harris and Suad, and here in the theater, we have 4 people. So five people. The one is taking photos. Okay. Mr. Harris, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Haris Yakantaris. I'm representing Cyclopolis Limited. We're a Greek bike sharing company. We're a design house. We design bike sharing systems, both in terms of software and in terms of hardware, electronics, and so on and so forth. So we develop our own systems and are operating them. And lately, we have been developing an innovative product, which is a sensor kit which can be mounted on shared vehicles, micro-mobility vehicles rather, so as to measure air quality and noise on the local level, on the street, neighborhood, and building level. I'm the CEO of the company, so that's about it. I'm happy to participate. Thank you very much for having us.
Mr. Suad, are you with us? If not, in the moment, we can. Here we can see the Mr. Daniel.
So my name is Daniel Pavlica. I work as a project manager for European funded projects at Success, the world's largest platform for tech founders. We do have around 70 projects ongoing. We're funded. Quite some of them are definitely related to digitization of the industries, of some various industries. And here I would like to share some insights about the digitized transportation.
Thank you. Mr. Suad wrote us something just to see. Interested in digitization in the transport. Typical word, hard to pronounce. Would you like to tell us something more about you? Because our plan is to have an open discussion and to talk about some, let's say, issues and all the aspects of digitalization in the transport and environment. So therefore, we are expecting to have a nice flow and a conversation. And maybe the best possible thing is, I hope that it has something new. Okay. Okay. So if you are not interested, you can always put some information in the chat. Here we are here in order to approach all the possibilities for the funding via SMART4ALL projects and to discuss about some trends and issues in digitized transport and environment. Is there anyone from the public that would like to proceed with presentation, introduction?
Yes, I would like to add, I'm Branko Brkljač, the technical sciences in myself. I came here and I'm most interested in the logistics part of digital transportation. So how to optimize the packaging for transport and how to track efficiently the goods. That would be like the topics I would like to discuss in Paris. So, I also have some examples and something to initiate discussions. So if you feel that would be interesting for you.
Hi there, my name is Radovan Stojanović, and I'm faculty of Technical University of Technical Science. Also, I'm a fellow student at Canada. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm here because I would like to see if there's something new or something kind of interesting as far as the software relation in digital, particularly digitization of transportation is concerned. So basically, just learning new ways to optimize the transportation because it is a major issue to pull them over with all countries.
Yeah.
So,
And you? Sorry.
Okay, well, my name is Anita. I'm also from Faculty of Technical Sciences, and I'm currently studying biomedical engineering, so I don't really know much about this session, and I would like to learn.
Please, can you speak louder because it's not we do not hear very well. This guest in the seats.
So I just said that I'm currently studying biomedical engineering at Faculty of Technical Sciences, and I'm not really. I would just like to learn about this session.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you going to give us some kind of topic to discuss?
Well, the main discussion of this is based on digitalization. So we were expecting to have more SMEs here. And we would like to know what does the digitalization represents to you and to your company? What are the major obstacles if you are not using the digitalization, and what are your expectations related to the enhancement of your business via digitalization? Mr. Harris, can you share your experience in this field of digitalization with us?
I'm not sure I have quite got the question. Would you like to be more specific, please? Could you be more specific?
What does the digitalization means to you and your company?
Listen, digitization is practically the basis of our company. We're a technology company. We're a software orientation. So when we are happy that we have designed our system. Our system has been designed by software engineers mainly. It's the way that it's operating. So each and every interaction of the users with the systems, with the system, let alone the system itself, how it's operating and so on and so forth, is digitized. So we can control it, and we can have the history, we can traceability for each and every step. So say a user calls and says, listen, I'm afraid something went wrong with when I was trying to register to your system. Each and every time we can go back to our data, to our back office data, and see and serve the person, and see if any station is operating well, what's its uptime, so on and so forth. Now, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm not a technical guy, I'm more a commercial guy from the company. I happen to lead a technology company, but I'm an economist and a masscom expert, if I may say. Well, it doesn't really matter. But here comes another thing. When we were designing, I said, guys, give me not metadata, give me reporting, give me good reporting. We must be reporting. And this is something we've been doing from the very first day of our operation. Our first customer each and every month was receiving from our first customer. We had been sending data, and this data, since it is well structured, because we had the structure on our minds, and then as we developed as a company, because it's last something like a decade that we're on the run, and these have been extremely useful, and it keeps evolving and improving. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that a commercial guy like me, not technical guy, to be talking about digitization, but it's extremely important because I'm talking about from the administrative side. I know the tech guys here all the time. Is the station all right? It's the bicycle, the RFID, everything works well, yes or no, but which is extremely useful. But from the administrative side, it's also useful to be because you can control things. You can have the insight of the operation of the system and the company itself. So this is one thing, and if I may proceed for a couple of minutes more, it seems that we have, like I was saying, we're invested in this sensor kit that we're developing, and it seems that there's a lack of data, and there's a lack of data because it's not enough to smell the atmosphere. You need to have data and to see what the particulate matters is there, the nitrogen, and so on and so forth. So, and these have to be digitized so that you can share, so that you can have prognostic models, and so on and so forth. So it's the basis of our company. It's not if it's useful. It's if it wasn't, if we weren't digitized, I wouldn't have been here, for the better or the worse, I must say.
And can you share with us what are the conditions in Greece market for the developing digitized products and for setting IT companies and so on? Do you have some benefits from the state? Do you have some support from the, let's say, IT clusters, digital innovation hubs, someone who can share data with?
Listen, I should think that this is, yes, in terms of state, hard to say. What is really helpful is that there's a series of mainly European funds which are directed to this market. Smart cities, digitized environment, digitized transport, so on and so forth. So from this side, this is a good environment that we are operating in. But if you're asking me, I don't know if it's of any importance to Serbia, because Greece has already been the last for a decade or so in a severe economic crisis. So we have really talented and skilled software developers, electronic engineers, so on and so forth, but most of them have fled. They have left Greece. So it's really, I mean, there's programs there, so on and so forth, but it's really hard to find software engineers. So you know, I want to speak openly on this. Otherwise, it wouldn't be. I think that there's, like I said, there's lots of talent. There's many software companies. Innovation is pushed. Yes, if one, like we say in Greek, if one has her eyes open, then there's opportunities there. Then, if provided that you have the ideas and the skills. I think the main stopper for us, for the Greek market, is the one I said. I mean, honestly, we're trying to develop applications and we're struggling to find people.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well,
which say a decade ago, it was not the case. Sorry.
Well, if everyone else agrees, I think that we have the same problem with the brain drain.
Yes, yes. In every industry, not only in this transportation, or in every industry, there is a lack of educated, skilled manpower, and so I think this is common for every industry, not only for this. So, but I think it will change in the future.
Let's hope so. Let's hope so.
Yes, yes.
But given this, because I'm afraid that we cannot change, well, not one by one, we cannot change the environment. I think that Greece is a fair place. I mean, there's innovations. Like when we were started, we were innovative. I mean, when we started talking about bike sharing in 2011, it was like, you know, Paris was in 2007, 2008 when it was launched. So it was already innovative. Yes, there is some support. There are government policies. There are innovation hubs. Yes, there are tools there that you can use. But it's not like the perfect environment, because mainly because of the reasons that I talked about, the brain drain, to namely.
Yes, yes. I think that university should be more connected to the company, and to create ready people which is gain more experience in the field. And this process from education, from the books, to be speed up. And when people finish the school, they can start immediately to work in companies and already have some practice experience. I think it should be in this way viewed.
Here we have Mr.
Since you spoke about development of this kind of softwares and solutions, you mentioned two important things. The one is the technical skills, or someone who can be able to develop that. The other thing you mentioned was the government policies, like like the driving factor for successful solutions. But regarding that, I would also like to add, we speak about adoption, and that's the main thing. Like, if we make a solution that it's going to be used, not in one case, but in many cases in transport. When it comes to adoption, how do you see the process, the understanding of the transportation process, or some specific aspect of that? How important is that regarding successful adoption of some solutions? So even if we have technical expertise to make something, and even if there are government policies that require from us to have some kind of digital solutions, is there some kind of gap in understanding some of the processes in order to adopt something and to use it wide scale, like to have many users and for the industry to adopt it? So that would be my question for everyone.
Do you mean from the perspective of the end user, somebody who is
from
going
the perspective
to?
of the end user, but also from the perspective of someone who is trying to make a product to sell it to others, how you can acquire enough knowledge about some specific transport problem in order to be able to design good solution or good software.
But you have to live their lives for quite.
So I need to be in the transportation industry in order to make a good product.
Actually, this is my experience as CEO of a company that really had a success implementation of our digitalized solutions. We really needed to learn everything about those companies, everything, and to really make them sure that we understand their business fully and that we really want to help them, and that this solution will not replace people working there. We are making solutions that they are helping them, not replacing them. And this is a kind of transformation that people in the company need to understand and to adapt, and then they start trusting you and willing to help you and to share their experience and to let you work with them and be with them. And at the end, you get a solution that is really useful and has benefit for everybody. But that's the only way. But if we are talking about large companies, if you are talking about solutions that can be really used for many different smaller scale companies, which are kind of similar, then I think that you just need to have a lot of experience already in that business and to be brave and to do something with maybe some small kind of customization, because every company has maybe something a little different than all of the rest. But mainly for many years, you have to live their lives. You have to learn everything. You need the expert from that field in your company. Yes, you need expert from field expert, and then you need to really work with your clients and to have this kind of trust in each other.
So how do you say, is it different from the other industries, like, or it's a commonplace? Like,
I think it's a commonplace if you want to digitalize processes in whatever industry you work for. If you have to digitalize their processes, you need to understand them fully. I'm sure.
Mr. Nikačević.
Okay, so two things are raised here so far, and I will just continue on Anita's remark on knowing the subjects and the domain. It's very important actually, and this should be mixed up with the domain of software engineers and the others, but actually making digitalization is a process of not having a software, it's a process of changing how the processes work in each in different industry sectors. And as I agree completely, although I'm not sure that is absolutely needed to spend years in some industry. Maybe you could hire a consultant or have some inside knowledge or read a lot to think about it, speak with them and so on. So it depends on the approach and capabilities. And so, for instance, what we see, I'll transfer a bit to our experience, is that digital transformation is a very challenging thing in the large companies. They speak about it and they start, for instance, we started almost 10 years ago. Back then, it was not even a story. It was just maybe some, it was more like software or IT or information technology. Digital came later on, and the whole wave that was introduced, like more or less the big wave around 5 years ago or something like 6 years ago, and then you could see the change that everybody speaks about it in large companies, but actually they don't do it. And the question is why they don't do it? Because there are several reasons. One of the reasons is, okay, maybe the solution providers don't understand their pains good enough, that's one. But the other thing that we saw is actually, and also the other thing could be scared of being replaced.
Yes.
And this is what we saw, not in this simplified way of just replacing a human with a robot, but replacing the work, because for instance, we work with consultants. And when you say we have an application, you have a software which will help you, and then they count their hours for they charge to clients an hours, they think, okay, how does it work? Because then the less hours will be charged to my client, and so you have to explain them that actually you boost the productivity, you exploit the data and knowledge accumulated there for other things. So they need to understand. But there is also a big resistance in adopting things. The first question.
Huge.
It's a huge thing because they don't want to learn. For instance, how these studies that software we provide. These studies are like done in Word for the last like 30 years. Before it was written, but in 30, 40 years it's in Word. Sometimes some things in Excel, that's it, nothing more. You sometimes use the GIS or some other specialized technical software that you collect some data, but actually the boards and the essential part is in Word. The problem is that actually those board files are 1,000 pages, which then authorities need to check, people need to read, to participate within the local communities and so on. It's painful and everybody knows it. It's not efficient.
Time consuming.
It's very time consuming, but the thing is, actually, although it's time consuming, they're not fond, even the project proponent, the others adopting new technology. And this is one of the replies to one of the participants on online is because I also teach at the university. So I have a double experience, and I think it's actually very important that companies make something like continuous education, and so people that they're ready, not to have after. So I'm not agreed with the situation that actually we at the university, now I'm talking like as a professor, to just prepare the student that it goes into it and it's very specialized and it works in something and he's good at it, because that will replace the machines. So one thing so thinking, continuous education, ready to change, and so if the companies, if they make an environment like that, then will be more easy to adopt new technologies, digitalization, and be advocates of it. Otherwise, if we're just sticking on board or some ready-made processes, it will never actually converge to a state. And we are, for instance, we are really seeing a challenge in changing people. They are now interested in coming to us, they want, but actually it takes a lot of time.
Yes, and there is another thing. I'm sorry.
No, I think you have answered partially my question. Because a lot of solutions are amazing, they are there to be used, but there's the barrier to overachieve state of the art and the reluctancy to adoption. Of course, education of people is definitely the best solution. But what is, in your opinion, some short-term solution when it comes to traditional segments?
There is no magical solution for all, so it depends on what we, as I said, digitalization thing. What companies realize that actually digital can make a profit to them, and they're now they want to be first runners, for instance, in something so that they could actually increase the margins, because not only because it's more efficient, but also having something more fancy, having more technologies in it. And so I think it should come both bottom from the young people who are eager to adopt the technologies, but also from top management, which can say, okay, this is, and still it's not let's say a guarantee that it will be fast. I don't think personally.
The fastest way is to have the CEO of the company who is willing to put the effort to get his company or her company digitalized. And then when it comes from the top down, then it works perfectly.
I will add something to what you just said. You said CEO of the company. But when speaking about the state itself, then you are referring to the CEO of the state. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then the digitalization. Let's talk about the real digitalization.
Yeah.
For example, the website of the government of Republic of Serbia. You have decisions of each session of the government within the Word file, zip one by one, not indexed. So if you want to search for appointment of one director of one public institution, you have to unzip file by file and then to open Word one by one to search for a particular name. How do you call it? I mean, this is beyond the logic. This is not. I mean, even if you think the most difficult solution how to make people's life harder, this will be hard to imagine. So what is going on here? We are using a buzzword, digitalization. Everybody is speaking about digitalization. Nowadays, the applications, for example, mobile applications that are used mostly with the majority, with the maximum users, are simpler than anything you can imagine 30 years ago. What is, I will not mention the brand names, but you know what you will recognize. What does it mean? Like comment, like scroll left, right. I have learned AutoCAD back in 1991. AutoCAD, okay. The first programming language I have learned was Fortran back in 1983. So the first week of learning AutoCAD, not the first day, the first set of comments were more complicated than today's buzzword digitalization, real application in real life is. So we are having a big problem. Everybody is speaking about that. Nobody is doing the big thing. You have, for example, I will now mention the name, Microsoft. Microsoft in the Windows 11, Microsoft replaced the taskbar. You noticed that.
Yes.
In all the versions since Windows 98, it was possible to drag and drop a file from Windows Explorer to another application, for example, as an attachment to an email. Okay, but since Windows 11, it is not possible. Maybe the last version of the upgrade. Yeah. But till a couple of weeks ago, it was not. What does it mean? And they are saying, okay, probably in the next version, in the next update, we are going to manage to re-implement something already implemented 20 years ago, which is fine from the point of view of team of programmers. But what is hidden behind? It is again a buzz. Like we are saying that we are going to do something. You know, we are going to back to have that feature back. Why I'm saying all this? Because everybody recognizes that it is not very interesting for large public to do something serious. It's much better to do more or less nothing, but to sell something as a keyword, as a buzzword, as something. And then we go back to your first intervention. You have to know your clients. That is the major problem in all the fields and all the industries and all the things that are currently digitized. Why? Because there is no people who are patient enough to listen. If you are an IT developer, you have to know what is transport, what is the environment, what are the problems. If you're not patient enough, if you want to be rich tomorrow morning and you want to click like and whatever you want to do, then that's not going to happen. You're not going to develop anything. The same, on the other hand, if you are an expert in the field and you're not very good with IT and all the digital environment. Then you are saying, I'm going to protect myself. No, I will not tell them how to do that. If I tell them how to do that, then I'm lost. I'm going to lose my job. Okay? So we have to bridge this gap to make a real digitalization, not the zipping of the Word files one by one, because that is not digitalization, obviously. That is absolutely not. We have to bridge, what Mr. Nikačević just presented, his software is actually bridging that gap by itself. It is the main idea of the software, to bridge the expert knowledge with the facilitation from the IT and digitalization. Am I right? Okay. So this is the way, not to simplify to the basic level of the simplification, to have as many users as possible. Okay, we know how that ends. We are looking at all around the place all the time. Thank you.
I have a question.
Maybe a little bit louder.
Moraš glasno.
I have a question. While you do agree that towards simplification of the process of digitalization, it can be fairly bad or fairly dangerous if done so in a bad way. I think that there is also a problem from another side. Okay, you gave an example of Microsoft, but we implementing stuff. And yeah, sure, I am also fairly big opponent of that, because don't implement stuff that was implemented 20 years ago and presented as something new. But on the other hand, we, for example, at the Faculty of Technical Sciences, have a whole department that does the optimization and optimization on the processes and software. And nobody, I mean nobody, pays attention to that. I signed NDA with TSMC a couple of months ago, and I'm still partially contracted by their hardware engineering division, and the division creates all kinds of sensor, CPUs, SoCs, and all the integrated electronics. Then we been approached by large automotive companies that sell the products, entire products, to big automobile tech, or let's say big American big three. And there's no emphasis on the data optimization. They are acting like the stuff is same as it was 70 years ago. Please give me all the data, the more data the merrier. And that's awesome, that's amazing. While at the same time, you have these tiny sensors with a large capacity memories, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte. Like there is a micro SD that store around 1.5 terabytes. And it's commercially available. For the big tech, you can get to the higher memory sizes chips for the same physical size of the hardware. And they just store the data. Let's store the data. Let's get more data. Nobody optimizes. Old engineer do nothing about it because let's get all the data, and new engineer do nothing about it because I have this perfect solution and software. And companies do as they like, because if you're being honest, in a global scale, listening and watching, they do have larger economies of GDP than plenty of countries around the world, and they dictate the industry. So, as an engineer, I want to ask what to do because the company doesn't say it, university doesn't say it. If I ask my colleague, number one, he will tell me one thing, my colleague number two will tell me the second thing, and there's no standard. So, who makes the standards being used by industry or end user or engineers that create software for digitalization? I just want to ask that.
Okay, Mr. Brkljač.
I can continue that.
Okay.
Previous speaker. I heard a story like there was a company who had two databases. It was a large company, and they had some kind of enterprise software for process management, and they didn't want to develop their own kind of interface to interface these two databases, but they asked the provider to sell them. And it sold them like some piece of software that was so expensive and so simple to make that someone who would like to analyze that would be amazed how they decided to pay for that. But that's the trend, like, and that's related to my question, actually, or to something we could discuss. If you develop a product and want to enter the market, so we saw that adoption is important and the expertise, but how important it is to make the room for your product, because you already have a very strong competition, some traditional providers who have large-scale solutions who cover all the different aspects of the problem. So what would be kind of suggestion how to have something to make your product a choice for someone who's already like, we don't want to bother with some new software, we want to buy something trustful from the provider we are buying already 20 years. You know, although that provider is selling us something we don't need actually, but okay, that's the other thing. We don't want to take our time, resources, or to make any risks, and we go for proven solutions. So that would be nice if you could comment on that. And related to expertise, if we agree that expertise is very important to have a good product, then when you acquire that kind of knowledge through some kind of experience or through some kind of employee who has the very good insight into the industry, how do you protect from the competition? So if that's something that sells the product, so how to make it that competition does not copy your solution if it's not possible to protect it by intellectual property like patents or something like that. So these two aspects, if you could comment on that.
Maybe first this question. I don't know. I don't have the answer. I don't know if somebody has.
Yeah, you're asking the question. The question is quite good, but it's more psychological, social issue than technological. Why? Because we have lost in the region, not only in this state, but in the region, because I have a lot of experience working in the countries in the region. We have completely lost the control over any kind of standards. There are no standards in any field about anything. Yesterday we had a flood in Belgrade. I mean, since I'm my first basic educational background is civil engineering, you have a topic on the faculty which is dealing only with that, how to prevent floods on the streets of a city, which it is 2 semesters topic, you know. And now we are seeing, and everybody saying, this is not possible. What's going on? I mean, we have a rain. We have a bloody rain, a lot of rain. How is that possible? Shall we ask somebody to comment on that? Another journalist or politician? No, just go. You have the Technical University of Novi Sad. You have the Technical Faculty of Civil Engineering in Belgrade and in Niš as well. I think in Nikačević probably. But you have a lot of universities. You have a lot of professors, assistants, professors who can deal with this topic of rain falling in the middle of the city, like eating a piece of cake, you know, because that's their life. That is their standard. We don't have standards anymore. And you're asking the right question, but I'm afraid I cannot answer to you because in the field of transport, in the field of the environment are not very similar. In the field of transportation, you can have a private client where you can sell something. So you can find your niche to find your place to deal with your product. But in the environment, more or less, sooner or later, the state will become a client because the state is the main polluter. And the state has to deal with all environmental issues. And now we are having let's say the best, the cream on the top of the cake. Within the state, there is no enough capacity. You said that they are buying a thing that is actually mirroring of two databases. Am I right?
Yes.
It is actually mirroring. It is one line of code.
Yes.
Connect this database to this database and do the mirroring. So there is no one single person in the field of this, for example, in the field of the environment, there is no one single person in the whole state system which understood what I said to you 10 seconds ago. There is one common mirror this database to this one. There is nobody who understands this. You see what I mean? So you can sell whatever you want. You can say, okay, we have made a very complex procedure. This procedure takes the data from this database, verifies it, and goes there, and tra-la-la-la. And people will buy it. Because simply there is nobody who can, there is simply nobody who can now prepare a tender documentation to buy something serious.
Yeah.
Yes.
There is no that capacity anymore. So you're reaching your probable bidder to ask a bidder, what do we need?
Yes.
Am I right?
Yes, totally
So,
right.
which is,
No,
I mean, just imagine saying this same sentence in any kind of EU institution. They will put me in the jail immediately. Why? Because this is the essential reason for the corruption. So you don't know what do you need. So I'm asking you, who I'm going to pay, what do I need? Which is, I mean, that does not exist. It exists, of course, in sub-Saharan Africa, in countries like that. You know, but in Europe, I have never heard this kind of stuff. You're asking a bidder, a developer, what should I have?
Well, just to
Sorry.
Just to conclude this, this topic, because there is a lot of overlapping between the transport and the environment, because transport is also the pollutant.
Absolutely.
And the transport is within the environment.
Yes.
So it's something like a cross domain.
Which is a very good topic to discuss,
Yeah.
but not now.
Well,
transport and
But you
environment.
still need an answer, maybe. Just
And just to
Okay.
okay, Mr.
Yeah.
Harris, just to conclude this with two sentences, and I would like to reply from the perspective of someone who is dealing in transport business. Basically, in the last 12 to 10 years, most of digitalization is required by international standards and international clients. So if we are not willing to adapt something, we are forced to do this in order to survive on the international market. It's not something that we are striving for, it's the must. And as the final result, it's always a good thing to have the digitalization. It's cutting costs, and you always need to do the customization of the software, because the most of the transport is relating business to business. It's not toward wide range of natural persons or clients, and you need to do something customized just for their needs. Mr. Harris, sorry for waiting. Can you just unmute yourself? We can't hear you.
Yes, I was too kind. I think I was muted. Just a couple of remarks. I'm trying to still answer some questions. Anyway, we are not selling technology. That's what I'm trying to, and I think it's a good answer for the guys from the floor. How do you protect it? How, if it's, who is going to use it? We're trying to solve problems. I mean, digitization is, I have to agree with the gentleman with the shirt. I don't remember the name. It's like, we're not selling databases mirroring. Is this mirroring solving a problem? Is yes. If yes, then go for it. Okay, let's go for it. Now, how you are selling this, well, it's a whole different matter. But I think the main idea, a good starting point is to see if digitization or anything anybody on this planet is trying to sell or is offering is giving a solution to a problem. If not, then we're talking buzzwords and we're wasting our time, honestly. But if you have a software or a technical solution which solves really solves a problem, you're gonna have to try to persuade the buyer that this is going to solve the problem. And technology, this goes also to the guys there on the floor, is not the only differentiator. I mean, you might be selling the same exact software, for example. Okay, if you support the customer, if you're there for him, for her, so on and so forth, this is a good enough differentiator. Trust me in this. I mean, it could be the very same solution. I don't know if this helped anybody. It was going through my mind as like I was listening. And I have to say again, I'm not very much into buzzwords. I'm not into hype. I'm a critical person, if I may. And who cares about digitization? Nobody cares about digitization. We all care about solving our problems. That's it. If digitization can help them, be it. If not, then forget about digitization. That's it.
Yes, if I would just like to add something from the transport, from the maritime transport experience, because that's my background. There is no perfect software solution, anything that you can buy and that will solve your problem if you are not constantly adapting and developing it. So if you buy something for 500 million euros, and if you don't change it and adapt it in 1 year period, you waste your money. If you don't have people that know what to do with that software, it's just waste the money. Stay analog, go to the office, drink coffee and go home. It's much more cheaper than.
In addition to that,
just constant improvement and constant iterations, and that's the only way to survive digitalization.
Yeah.
One simple example of constant improvement. Back in 2001, the government of Serbia signed an overarching contract with Microsoft, supplying with the licenses of all the public sector in Serbia, including the government and all the universities and everything. How many people today are using spelling checker in Serbia, in Microsoft Word? You know how many? You, me, and none. You probably, but none in the state, in the ministry. Nobody ever heard about them. They hate that spelling checker because it's making words red. Right. But nobody even knows that there is an existing spelling checker for Serbia, Latin and Cyrillic. Yeah. So that, can you imagine what we are speaking here about? We are speaking about digitalization, and we have 20,000 people in the ministries not being aware. We have a directorate for. I know you're from Montenegro.
Yeah, we have a directorate for innovation and technology.
That's it. The same in Serbia. Why there is no short 1 weekend training on how to use spelling checker for Serbian, Latin, and Cyrillic in Microsoft Office? We already paid for it. See what I mean? That is a digitalization. That is what Mr. is saying. That is a real digitalization. That is easy, simplifying and facilitating your daily job. Check the bloody spelling.
Okay, I have just one more interesting thing to share. My company applied for the it's some kind of the innovation certificate for the SME. You are exposing your project idea that you will pay internally and develop internally. If the ministry finds it suitable, it will give you that innovation certificate that you can apply with for some Eureka projects, let's say. And of course, we have a team of PhDs, we have a good idea, we made everything. And for that set of documents that we need to provide via platform, of course, via digitized platform, we also needed to get the extract from the registry that we are registered as SME. And if you want to get that paper, you don't have any option to pay with a credit card that €5 of that you need fee.
Yeah.
You need to go to the bank or the post office to take a photo of that receipt and then to upload it in order to be, let's say, to be innovative.
Yes. Yeah, it's
So those are some lacks, and those are some pain points of our state administration in the region. The same thing is in Bosnia, in Croatia. I don't know what is the situation in Greece, but those are some illogical things, but something that we are dealing every day. That's just a small example, but there is a lot of serious examples that are similar to this one.
I just maybe able to provide a solution for recently we tried the usage of or non-usage of spell checker. Maybe they are using text software.
No,
And,
they have never heard about it.
Ever since the topic and shift of the libraries, maybe there's some kind of conflict.
No, they simply don't know anything.
Since we were talking about buzzwords, one of the buzzwords I'm encountering in different discussions or in different places nowadays is blockchain technology.
Yeah.
And they say like it's going to make a change in how we do business, especially in transportation and logistics, because we are going to be able to verify all the steps during the transport chain, and to be sure that everyone who are involved are well documented and that we can know everything about it. And then I heard a story from one of your colleagues from Montenegro, who is she's in maritime business and logistics, and we were talking about something, and I asked her, so does it mean that when you put the container on a ship in China or somewhere and transport it to Europe, you are absolutely sure that everything that went into that container also gets out of that container? And she told me, it's not true. Like when it enters the ship, there is no way that you track what's happening.
Black box.
Because it's black box and it's there is no hardware in that. Like it's some kind of distributed counting or ledger or something like that. But it's not a solution that absolutely guarantees you that actually no one physically has interaction or can interaction with your goods that are transported. So how do you see that kind of problem? And is it do people see that like as a problem to need to have some kind of hardware solutions to enable atomic transport in the sense that no one is going to interact with your goods, and that would make transport less complicated with less procedures and so. For example, could you comment on that?
no, actually not, because we never actually dealt with this kind of problem.
Well,
Sorry.
that's my field of expertise. I don't know who the colleague is, but she has more theoretical knowledge. The truth is that every ship, container ship or passenger ship or tanker ship is one supercomputer. So with a lot of information, with a lot of data, and of course, when you have a cargo on it, okay, Mr. Harris. When you have a cargo on it, you need to plan when to disembark some cargo, because all the containers are not going from China to Dubai. Someone will disembark in Sydney, someone in USA. Of course, those processes are optimized. The only thing that is prohibited is to open certain container ships, because that's your own good. And it's just allowed to open it if there is a suspect that something is smuggled in it.
but you as the end user don't know was it open or you know, like is it reported somewhere?
Every container ship during the first embarkation has a seal. And until the final delivery, it can't be unsealed.
So there is a physical protection, but
yeah,
not digital analog protection.
And there is also a digital, there are some ship logs, and there is a ship log on every container about the size, the weight, the type of goods, but you can't physically come in and see what's in it. But the blockchain in maritime supply chain is important because of the trustworthiness, because of the security, because of the lot of members in that supply chain, because you have the buyer, someone who bought the product, you have the ship owner, the ship manager, the port authorities, the customs, the ship agents, the truck companies that are taking those container ships from the port and driving into your warehouse. So the complete supply chain is really complex. And in that sense, the blockchain is a good solution. And even the Maersk, it's one of the biggest world maritime companies, is developing its blockchain with IBM.
But there are no like hardware protection keys or something like that that would be implemented as a seals. Those sealed containers are sealed, but digitally or physically, like
both.
I did one project.
Well, you should be aware that more than 80% of the worldwide trade is performed via sea. So just a small amount of it is transported via trucks, airplanes, and so on. So the market is really big and it's extremely protected.
That's per kilometer, not maybe per good. Because the good, when it comes to port, then it goes on truck, probably, because they're not sold on a port. Maybe per kilometer, I guess.
Did you want to?
Yes, I actually did deliver one fund project on this blockchain in logistics, and it is truly important that it is being used in logistics just to be transparent all the way, to know that where your goods were. But what is crucial is what you also mentioned, that the supply chain is quite huge. So you need every actor and every node of the supply chain to be actually from blockchain to be completely secure. And that's the only way that you can secure the full transparency of the route.
Okay. Now, what would I propose, since we are, since we are here on behalf of the SMART4ALL projects, and all of you know that SMART4ALL projects is giving some funds for developing new digitized products. I would like to ask you if you have any experience in this Cascade funded projects. Have you ever applied for European funded projects that are related to digitalization in your core business? Mr. Harris, do you have project related experience? Have you applied, or are you planning to apply for some funds in order to increase or to introduce some new products or services?
Yes, we have experience in it. First of all, with SMART4ALL, we are already participating in one experiment, which is for improving the sensor kit I was mentioning earlier, with so as to improve its autonomy in terms of energy and its communication capabilities. We applied once we were so disappointed. We really believed in this project. We thought it was a good proposal. It was rejected. And then we took the remarks. We further elaborated the very same proposal, and it passed. It was one between the 4 that were selected out of 73 or so. So yes, we're in the process of running this. It works well so far. I don't know if this goes to the question. Then, of course, then we're in a couple of other R&D projects. Again, based on the fleet that we have out there in Greece in more than 20-25 places, and using the shared bicycle as a platform for sensing. Be it air quality, be it noise. Now we're in November. We're about to begin a new project which has to do with road safety. I don't know if I've answered your question, and if it's something more that you
does it
like.
Contribute to the digitalization, or how did those projects affect your overall business?
Listen, first of all, it has been funding our R&D department, which, to my understanding, if we don't have such a thing in a couple of years, we will be dead. Well, dead, all right. Okay, we'll be living, hopefully, but not as a company. So this is one thing. And then, you know, like they say, like Albert Einstein said, if life is like a bicycle, to be, you know, to keep standing, you have to keep moving. Okay, so as not to fall. So this is it. I mean, new ideas, things which come here, which come in, the better proposal for our products. And it might even save our souls, like they say, because, you know, if you don't create, if you don't, well, innovate, I'm not using that much because it's a buzzword. Okay, all right, innovation is good, I suppose, but creation is even better. So it helps us in these things. It gives us life. It makes our life better. Sorry to be philosophical, but I understand it's not only the economics. Like I said, it's funding our R&D department. This says a lot, I assume, but we need to keep looking forward. So yes, I think it's a major help, and it's a big push. SMART4ALL is a big push because the sensor kit has been developed, well, improved in the frame of another project. And then, okay, this was the idea. But when we were writing it, we hadn't really thought about some other aspects. And then this partner says, okay, you should do this and that. This research center from Italy, Eurac Research, it's beautiful people, nice guys. Anyway, and they said, okay, we should cooperate, and let's put this under this SMART4ALL experiment. So it's going to improve our product, hopefully so much, like 30-40%, to my understanding. Because if we improve its operating autonomy, it's gonna, and the communication capabilities is gonna lower the maintenance cost, which for a product is very important. We have some input from other guys because nobody knows everything. It's this quite big Italian company who is interested in it, and we're going to cooperate in commercializing it. I mean, sourcing, for example, if Cyclopolis is an SME, right? If we're trying to commercialize such an innovation, we're going to have to, say, for example, produce 1,000 pieces, 5,000 pieces. I'm going to have to start looking for sourcing for electronic parts, so on and so forth, in China, in America, wherever. We don't have this experience. And I'm afraid I do not want to learn this. Or yes, I don't want to go up all the learning curve if somebody next office already has it. And if she's ready to cooperate, then yes, united we stand, like we say. I'm getting philosophical again. So yes, it has helped us a lot.
Yeah. So basically, the SMART4ALL is all about cross-border cooperation. So do you think that Greek companies find it suitable to cooperate with the companies and research centers from other countries? Because there are some language barriers, some cultural differentiations. Is it always easy to cooperate with some, let's say, completely different people?
Listen, it's always difficult to cooperate with different people, and this is a part of its charm. But then again, me being an internationalist, I don't, okay, I'm Greek, all right, but I don't know, I'm feeling more familiar with people from very different languages. I've studied in England. I have so very good friends, English, Italian, so on and so forth. So provided that there's the right mentality there, I think I could cooperate with anyone with a certain mentality. Okay, language could be a barrier, but English being the desperado language, I think more or less we can communicate. I mean, with Italians who are not, their English is not their best, but we can communicate, not only the Italians, right? I mean, it's just an example. So I don't think it's a problem. The problem for a Greek company is its bloody economics. I mean, funding, banks, so on and so forth. Okay, I mean, if Cyclopolis was, for example, a German company, an English company, a French company, maybe it would be 20 times bigger, 50 times bigger. Well, and then comes the question: would you want it to be bigger? Maybe yes, maybe not, but it would surely have been easier for us. Okay, I think a good question is, can a Greek innovation conquer the world market? This is very difficult, I must say. And this is another reason that you have to try to find a good, the right partners. Like I said, United we stand. Me or the company cannot enter the American market. It needs to have so much funding that I should go to the bank and they would laugh at me. Okay, I don't want to be laughed at. Okay, but it's not like I'm not proud, but yeah, So this is a good question, but you have a good idea, and you can find partners. Then you have a chance, and this is what SMART4ALL is there for us. This is another thing. Okay, I mean, internationalizing it. Okay, because Cyclopolis for a decade or so here, it's dominant in Greece, but not elsewhere. And the main reason is that to go international, you need funding.
Yeah. Well, I would just like to add something. When I started my career in maritime sector, it wasn't so much digitized. And in that time, some small Greek company did something that is, from this perspective, very simple and obvious, but they used just one information that a ship obligatory to send. It's an ICE. That's the position of the ship in that moment. And that information is related to the shipping route. So the ship is obliged to send an information to port authorities where it is in the moment and what is the next port and what was the port before that. Just 3 information. And they digitize that as a service. Right now, they made a platform that's a marine traffic. Maybe you know, maybe you heard.
Yep.
They have, I don't know, maybe 60,000 ships. That the first thing you see, it's a visualization of the, let's say, Mediterranean that is all marked in green dots.
I visited this, yes.
Are ships that are operating. When you, after some time, they, of course, develop that and they put some data on about the ship. the name, the class, the IMO number, and so on. In my everyday business, I always check the ship that we are going to inspect, where it is right now, where it will be in 7 days, in order to know how to plan the inspection. Yeah, that's the word, and how to do all the logistics. But from just and you need to pay some kind of the subscription. It's not so much money, but you get those basic informations that are saving time. With just one simple information from the ship, they made a whole company that is now well recognized and that offers some kind of a service that is essential for all the people in the maritime supply chain, because all the ship agents, all the many other stakeholders are searching for the same situation. So that would be my conclusion. It's not always necessary to do something extremely big, to do something enormously complex with a lot of things, just to make people's life easier and to be easy to adapt for the people that are working in the companies. Because there are some excellent softwares that people don't know how to use. And no one is providing 2 months of training how to use something. They don't use it. So that's the waste of the time. So I have someone from the audience that would like to add. Mr. Daniel, I know that you are engaged in EU projects. What is your experience regarding obtaining the funds and
SMART4ALL. I have worked on one project, it's called Atomic, and it is quite successful. It is boosting microelectronics industry in several sectors. And
sorry, can you speak a bit louder, sir?
And the company that I work for currently is also running on SAE project that is called Hapke. It is a sister project of this project actually. But when it comes to obtaining funds, I would say that especially in this area, people are not well aware of accessibilities of funding, and they're not using it well enough. But of course, on the other side, in Western Europe, it is well more represented and carried out successfully. So I would say that this conference and the reason that I'm actually here is to see the startups and to see the action basically in live, and to urge on local SMEs and regional SMEs to use the funds, to use the possibility to digitize everything that is needed for them and to collaborate, which is really important. Not to do two things at the same time, but to realize, oh, there are these people, we can use maybe their solution that we will offer this fund. So cross collaboration, not just between companies, but between industries is also essential. And when it comes to funds themselves, use them. That is free money. And I think there is no better way of obtaining funds than this kind of programs.
Thank you. Mr. Brkljač?
Yes, I just wanted to add that it's good that you pointed out the other aspects of digitization in transport, because that kind of subscription-based information services are something that's very important for those who are operating in the transport industry. One more example from the maritime industry, right? There is a company that is offering a forecast of ice in the Atlantic Ocean. So when you have a transport over the Atlantic, you can use their service in order to predict where the icebergs are going to be. And they are doing that by exploiting some satellite images. Actually, they have their own satellite fleet that was launched as part of investments in their company. And that's an example of, we could say, like some high level of knowledge or high-tech technology that's used for providing that kind of information services, in contrast to something you said like beacons or something that's more simpler. reciprocal.
Yeah. Okay. Now, since we are approaching the end of this parallel session, I would like to ask all the other participants, do they have any other recommendation or conclusion regarding the digitized environment or transport? Do you want to say something to round up this?
I have plenty to say. There were raised many questions, but time is limiting, and
Yeah.
a lot of partners. I'm very glad that actually all the people participated. That is great. I would just maybe answer to your question on funding and your also, because we do have experience with public funding. Let's call it like that. We got one from Innovation Fund, Serbian Innovation Fund, 9 years ago, and we got one from UNDP. These were successful, and we are now considering to apply to SMART4ALL, the FTE, the new one that is now opening up. But also we have applied to European ones, the Horizon, the main program for SMEs, several times, and it's not like you just go there and get it. It's very tough actually. We applied, we got a seal of excellence, which means that we were several times in top, let's say 10%, which was good enough to get the local and regional funding, but for European, the main one, although it's a big one, grants are around 2 million. For a startup, for a small company, it's a plenty of money. It's making a big change. But the last call in Horizon 2010, before it become Horizon Europe, the success rate was less than 1%. So, and then what they calculated is actually, and mathematician, which they actually European Commission put on a website, is that when success rate is 1%, that actually luck is much more playing than a role than a quality.
Yes.
Because it's like so many good ones, and then you have a bias of introduced from different reviewers, and then stuff on top of it, and when it's so low, it's like, so the chances are slim, especially if you're from Serbia, to be honest. And because I don't know, for instance, any startup getting it. The round one SME, yes, but round two, I don't know the ones that maybe sense is how do they call it? 5 cents, and those are, but they're not SMEs anymore. They're knowledge institutes.
Yeah.
So it's different program. I'm not talking generally Horizon. I'm talking about the SME program.
Yeah, but before the SMART4ALL project, were you aware of the cascade funding?
Cascade funding in terms like this SMART4ALL,
Yeah.
in that sense that they get the project and they offer also
sub-grants.
Not actually,
because that's a good entry point for companies.
Yes, it sounds good. It sounds interesting, really, because especially what I see now from SMART4ALL, it has a niche, so it's not like versatile completely. But it's not very narrow niche. So it has these verticals like digital, this, digital, that, and it has this topic of cyber physical systems. Not necessarily, but like a general direction. And so I find it very interesting approach to that. And I will maybe apply.
Just also a general feeling with startups that they might think that the funding is low for them. So they see, oh, I cannot build my whole complete solution with that money, but with 80K or 100K, you can definitely build a component to it. So usually startups need to kind of rethink their approach to public funding and state funding to realize that they can use their money also for the components of their solution.
Sure. That's very important message, and then we know it from the start. So we're getting more and more smaller grants, and not with the same project. It always different components. So yes, I agree completely, and also blending financing. So something from clients, something from public, something. This is very important, for instance, for our business, because it's like it's not only for the clients, but also for the authorities, for the others. So blending finance
And yes, you also cannot get two fundings for the same solution. That is also very important.
Yeah.
Just short thank everybody for participating, and if
Mr.
anyone
Lekić.
has unanswered question, I'm sorry, just you can find our names here.
On every social
You can-
media
yes, you
post
can
in last
contact
2
us
days.
and we can continue talking about the topic.
Mr. Lekić, would you like to add something or conclude this?
Thank you.
Panel.
Hopefully, we managed to merge together two topics. Actually, it seems that all the topics are merging by themselves
Yes.
these days, and we are just following the mainstream. Transport and the environment are very, very connected. You mentioned that, but we have to underline that. You were speaking about maritime transport and blockchain technology. It is exactly the same in the waste management.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's more or less the same thing. So these things are very interconnected. I'm sorry that the audience was not larger, and I'm sorry people didn't join the session. But the thing is, it's 6th of July. We have to understand that. Yesterday, while I was driving from Herzegovina to Belgrade, I was thinking about this conference, and I said to myself, but nobody will appear there. And I was more or less right. In any case, it was very interesting, and thank you very
Well,
much.
2 people from the coast of Montenegro
You
showed up.
see.
That's something.
Yeah, thank you.
Anita?
Oh, I already said, I'm sorry. So just thank you, everybody. And if anyone wishes to continue some discussion, please, let me hear from you.
Mr. Boris, Mr. Harris?
Yes, I want to thank you to all, and I will agree with you. We should make some little changes and make our life easier with digitalization, because everything is complex, and these days a lot of the information, people is overwhelmed with a lot of many information. So I agree with you. We should continue in the direction of digitalization. I think we should wait a few years for this technology to be in right state, because there is a lot of challenges in the data, because our networks is not. We should wait for the 5G, and I think then a lot of the sensor will be connected to the environment, and also in the transportation, and then this will be, I think, right moment to start new projects.
Mr. Harris?
Well, I'm afraid, sorry, yes.
Did we manage to fulfill your expectation from this panel session?
You did more than that. I've already spoken enough, so it was a pleasure to be with you. I'm at your avail. You can contact me anytime. Such matters we could talk forever. Some are, becoming abstract, right? And they should become abstract. So yes, I don't know if one should focus and put the microscope there and digging in, if one should stay to the abstract level. I don't know what's better. I don't know if it was good enough for you. It was more than fine with me. I hope I've helped, to put it in other words. All right, okay. It was a pleasure. Yes.
Okay. Well, from my side, I would like to thank you all for the participation in this joint panel session. And I want to thank you for taking a very active role in this, because we were afraid not to have your feedback. And I was thinking, okay, I can speak about maritime industry for hours, but it's not the point. I want to hear someone from the other side. So I'm very glad that you are well known with the project possibilities or funding possibilities, that you are developing your own products and services, and that all of us are aware that technology without human, I can't say it's nothing, but it's not good enough. So basically we need to follow the processes, to constantly adapt and change something on of that software or hardware side, just to fit the expectations and to be the user friendly for our customers, and to be convenient in our daily life. So it's the same thing in digitized transport and digitized environment. This panel session could raise into the field of philosophy, because at the end of the day, everything has that component. But I'm very glad that we touched so many topics and that we exchanged our experience.
Sorry, because after all, you have a Greek participant, right? So
yeah,
what?
It's cross-border. That's something that also matters. Once more, I want to thank you all and to wish you the pleasant rest of the day. And if you are willing, you can join us tomorrow. There will be also some interesting events here in agenda. And if you want, you can always write to SMART4ALL team regarding all information for the upcoming FTT open call and CCT open call. That's the last year of the project and the last round of the calls. So basically, that's the last train you can hop in, and the chance to gain 80,000 K to develop something new for the market. Okay, from my side, goodbye, and hoping that we will see each other.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.